Thank you for joining us on the RP Experience. I'm your host, Andrew Regenard, and today we have Sean Barakett, one of our top producing agents locally. So welcome to the podcast.
Hey, man. Thanks for having me. Been looking forward to doing this for a while now.
Yeah, I'm pumped to have you on here. So, all right, a little bit about Sean. Sean is a top producing agent here in Southwest Florida. And growing up, Sean watched his father build a successful real estate business after graduating from the University of Florida, Central Florida, excuse me.
Careful,
And,
careful.
That would have been bad.
We play the Gators tonight in basketball. Yeah.
Definitely don't want to mess that up. University of Central Florida in 2012. Sean bounced around sales and promotional jobs for a year before getting his start into real estate. In 2013, Sean got his real estate license, began his entrepreneur journey. By 2015, Sean averaged over 10 sales per year, and the business has continued to grow. Today, Sean has formed a niche working in Heritage Bay, where he's been there since 2014, and that's his main focus on being his main focus is on being a local expert in the area. So, Sean, that's a lot of information, but it doesn't really talk about who you are and your personality, right? Like, you love football and everything in between. So tell us about who you are.
All right. I guess one interesting thing you mentioned in that little intro, which was very well written, by the way. 2015, I started to average 10 sales, but I don't think I eclipsed 15 until like 2021. So, you mentioned some of the things I like to do, football fan, whatever. When I first started off in real estate, I was young. I was like 23, 24, and I saw it as like a means to an end for me to get to do the stuff I wanted to do as like a young adult, travel, go, do whatever. I never really started taking it seriously until honestly like COVID.
Really?
So like I probably averaged like 10 to 15 for which was great. Like you make 100K at age 24, 25 was more than any of my friends. But I kind of just plateaued. And I didn't even realize it until COVID hit. And I obviously didn't have anything to do work-wise for those 2 months. It's when I decided to grow out the hair too. Big transition time. And I was like, what am I doing here? Like, why am I not trying to be the absolute best? I was always like number 2, number 3 in Heritage Bay. Why is anyone not trying to be the absolute best at whatever you're doing in life? Real producers, there's real producers in different cities everywhere. You're obviously one of the best ones. I know ones in other cities, I won't mention them obviously, that kind of barely do anything. I see they put together something maybe once a quarter. It's not that involved with the community or anything, and you do one of the best ones. And it's like, why would you not do that, know? So I'm sitting there during COVID, and I'm like, why am I not number 1 in Heritage Bay? Like, this is silly. Like, if I'm going to do this, I should do it right. And I kind of, at that point, decided to put work is my number 1 priority, and then social stuff and everything else number 2. And what you come to realize is like if you do really good at that number 1, you can do way more number 2 stuff. It's funny how that works
when you flip them. It's a lot better of an order.
It definitely is. And so I decided I'm gonna wake up every day, and the first thing on my mind is how can I be the absolute best at what I chose to do for a career. And
what do you do different than, let's say, when you say you wake up different? Obviously, that's a mindset, is what I'm going to assume.
Yeah.
But like, there's some probably physical and there's actual actionable items that you do differently. What are those?
If you get to like farming a community, I think I do the absolute very best job at keeping everyone informed with, I do mailers, obviously, and email stuff, and also just being involved with the community.
It's a lot of touch points.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, you can't just build that overnight, and you can't fake it. It's consistency over time is the key for that. I'm very, very lucky to have the help of, Nick Spano. His father, Tony, does a thing called power mailers, and only one person for every area can do it, so you can't like have competing ones, obviously. But they do a really good job with a nice template. It's got some recipes on it, and I do a nice monthly sales market update. Never trying to, sell anything. Hey, use me. My job, the way I see it, is to keep people informed, and then when the time does come to sell, they won't even think of anyone else. It's like, oh, this guy puts out the nicest marketing materials, obviously. And one of the things about the power mailers too, it's got a little recipe on it. So people have a reason to look forward to it and a reason to keep it too, not just throw it away. every month.
Great top of mind, which is key in every part of the marketing, right?
Yeah. And before the power mailers even existed, I used to do my own. It was a huge pain between the designing and the printing and stuff, but I would
Preaching to the choir.
Yeah, I'm sure you know. But I would do, I would find like a local business to do like some kind of coupon or offer. So like I got Pelican Larry's a couple times. I got a liquor store, just something to put on there to give people a reason to save it.
Add value.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's not just like a, real estate advertisement.
For sure.
I don't even know how we got on this topic, but yeah, that's a little bit about
saying
farming.
Like kick it up, right? Like, because you kicked it up in 2021, right? And you started doing these different things. You tried to really, up your mailers and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
What did you do from a mindset perspective?
Like I said, it was just a work first mentality. And even if it was like I didn't have anything.
So just prioritize pretty much?
Yeah, maybe I sound stupid. I probably was stupid to not have that mentality, but it's like, I don't know. When you're young and in your 20s, you can coast along and make six figures. It's like, this ain't that bad. And It's like, at first it was great. And then, I don't know, next thing you know, like 5, 6, 7 years go by. It's like, wow, I'm still doing the same thing. Like now all of a sudden everyone's moved way past me. And, all my peers are selling way, way more than me. And it just, I don't know, you just kind of wake up and, work first mentality. And then also like, if you don't have anything going on, it's not like, okay, I'll just, relax today. It's like, all right, what can I do to drum up some business? Like, who can I follow up with? There's always something to do. You just have to look for it. And a lot of the time, I sometimes find myself not doing that, and that just doesn't happen anymore.
Now, you live in Heritage Bay, right?
Yeah.
So is that the main reason you decided to farm there, or is it because were you farming there before?
No. So you mentioned my father before. He lives at Vanderbilt Country Club, which is around the corner. He's been the #1 agent there, I think, since like, I want to say 2014, so like 9 years in a row. And I saw what he did, and I'm like, all right, I'd like to replicate that somewhere.
Obviously, if it's working,
yeah,
and you want to do that, replicate it, learn from that person.
So I looked at the area. I'd already had a little bit of experience in Heritage Bay, and I looked at their total sales, and it was probably always between 80 or 90, some years 100 total sales. So I'm looking at that and I'm like, all right, if I can just get like a small piece of that pie, I'll be good to go. It can't be that hard to break in. There's a bunch of agents that live there, and that's what I was able to do pretty quickly. And then the pie really never got that much bigger, I guess. And, obviously, and then until 2020, 2021, now I have like, I don't know, a third, half of the pie. Like, I want more too. That's the thing. Is like every time someone lists a place in there and they don't use me, I'm like, it kind of pisses me off a little bit. I'm like, why can't I have that one? And, it's the mindset's backwards. It's not like, how can I get this small piece? It's like, I want every single piece of this thing. And I, have a little chip on my shoulder if I don't get it.
But I think that goes, I mean, you're huge into sports, right? You love working out, CrossFit style, different things, which is huge a competition, right? It's all about competition. It's about bettering yourself, right? It's about improving your mindset and improving your physical ability, right?
Yeah.
Which sounds like you're applying that to work, right? And
a little bit, yeah.
And obviously, most realtors, or I could say pretty much all, are extremely competitive, right? We're all like, and I say me because I'm a business owner in the same style where I'm like very competitive, but like you got to be almost, right? Like obviously I just saw a statistic literally last night, and there was 40,000, there was something crazy number. Anyways, it was the amount of transactions that happened last year and then how many realtors there are this year. And it came out to, if every single person, like if you divide it up, it's 1.4 deals per agent.
And then you have to think though, like,
that's still, I mean, a lot of them are not doing anything, right?
No,
but like still 1.4 when you divide that up.
So that means there's just a ton of agents that have zero because like, I don't know, I sold like 44 or something last year. So that means for that 1.4, there's like 30 people that had zero.
Exactly.
But, competition, whether it's someone not selling or someone that's, very, very active, it makes everyone better. So you kind of just, learn to embrace it, I think. But at the same time, I know that like my biggest, competition or whatever, it's almost with myself. It's
of course.
It's just a giant battle to never get complacent, always trying to be forward thinking. And that happens to everyone. But it's a matter of just always trying to want more, or, set your goals higher, because, especially in real estate, like there is no ceiling.
Right.
You're your own limiter.
For
That's
sure.
it. There's no reason that you can't be super, super, super successful in this industry. And
even when there's a ceiling, right? Let's use big numbers like, I don't think what Bill Earls was like 200 some, and then that other year in 2020, when again 21 and 22 were amazing years, right?
Yeah.
But still, I mean, he went to 500 something, and like so, like even when you're quote unquote at the top, and you've already hit, let's say your top, there's so much more room, so much more.
Yeah,
so.
It was like 21 at Heritage Bay was the first year. I think I was number one. And it was like the next guy, I don't know if I had like maybe 30, the next guy had like 22 or something like that. And last year I had triple the second agent.
Yeah.
And like more than like 2 through 5 combined.
Wow.
And I look at that and I'm like, all right, let's do better this year.
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah.
Why
let's
not?
up that percentage every year. Before you know, you'll be at 100.
And, sometimes you won't hit that crazy goal or whatever, but sometimes you will. And it's like, there's no reason not to try, I think, is the big takeaway from that.
You just go back to lifting, right? Like a quote-unquote PR, right? Personal record, right? Yep. You won't know what you can do until you try and fail. Yeah. Try and fail. And then finally you're going to get it.
Exactly.
And you're like, wow, I didn't know I could do that, right?
Exactly. And you can compare your, PRs to other people. But at the end of the day, your biggest competition is just you're trying to improve yourself. And that's a good example.
Now, you had talked about an approach with your clients that you do, like you named it a win-win, right? Obviously, that approach is to help both sides and whatnot. Talk us through that little bit of that mindset and that approach you handle with your clients.
Sure, definitely. I mean, you want everyone to come away satisfied, even though you're representing, your side of the transaction. That other person is potentially going, first of all, they're probably moving to Heritage Bay. We use that as an example. Say it's my listing and it's some other buyer. But I want them to have a good impression of me. So I don't know, if their neighbor wants to sell, they'll say, hey, well, Sean listed my neighbor's, or Sean listed the place we bought. And, he really helped us through the transaction. Or, a lot of the time there ends up being little things that need to be fixed after whatever. But you never know when someone's going to be talking about you. And if they are, you want them to just say the highest thing. So I think no matter what, if you make sure all parties are happy, and that goes with agents too. Like you want to be a really good, easy agent to deal with. Like don't be an stop myself there.
No, you're good. You're good.
Don't be like abrasive and rude or whatever. Like some agents are not fun to work with. And I think we can all think of examples, and there's people like that in every facet of business and life. You don't want to work with those people. At the end of the day, like I want agents to see, all right, there's all these listings at Heritage Bay. I want to show Sean's because like I had a really awesome transaction with him last time, or maybe that deal didn't work out, but I really liked how he communicated with me and, sent all this extra info to my buyers or whatever it is. And, you put all that out there, and it's going to draw more and more people to you in the long run.
And it's going to make that transaction smoother,
that
right?
Too,
it takes two to tango, and everyone tango too. I guess you have to, right? But yeah, like you have to obviously get it closed, right?
Yeah,
so
that's the
got to
thing.
make sure everyone's happy.
We're all kind of on the same team, even the buyer and seller. It's like we're all working towards one common goal. It's just there's financial and other like
emotional.
Yeah, the emotions are got to take that out of everything, but it can be tough. But yeah, no, I mean we're all working on the same team at the end of the day.
So you farmed a lot. Obviously, you're still farming, but I want to ask you if a newer agent was like, how the heck do I get started farming? What are like 3 things that they should first do?
I think, living there is huge. Sometimes you can't help that. You want to farm some area that's like way out of your price range. But if you can do that, being there is big because like I can't tell you every day how many people stop me when I'm walking my dogs. It's at least 2 during season. Stop me while I'm walking my dogs and just ask me, sometimes it's not even about real estate, but it's just like getting your face out there. Everyone kind of knows me. I've got 2 miniature dachshunds. I've lived at Heritage Bay for forever. So that's free marketing in a world and an industry where everything costs money. Living there and being out and about, even if you don't have dogs, being involved with whatever's going on in that community, that's free marketing for you. So I would take that. Number 2, I would say you definitely have to do a good mailer. You probably won't get results off this. It might take, I don't know, a year or so. I think you got to send 3 or 4 like per. You got to send one per month for probably 3 or 4 months just for people to even resonate.
Right. Did you know that statistically they have to see it, your face and a logo and like a name? It's like with how much technology and social ads and everything, social media ads, it's like 16 or 17 times before they like fully recognize. Just to like acknowledge it is probably 3 to 4, but like to be like, oh, Sean Barakett, like I know him, he's a realtor. Like it takes like 16 times, which is crazy.
That actually makes more sense. I just said 3 or 4. I was just, kind of in my head. I was like, all right, it can't be 1. But
definitely is not 1.
You gotta be consistent and persistent with that over time. And it's gonna, you're not gonna get anything right away, but you gotta just keep doing that. And, a lot of people don't do mailers, and especially in Naples with kind of a little bit older demographic, like that is the best way to get people's attention. A lot of people like the mail. I don't mean to say bad. Like the mail is like sometimes the highlight of the day when you're retired and you're sitting at home watching TV all day. It's an exciting thing. So they get excited to see this, and
right.
If you consistently put your face on it and put good informative material on that card, then people are going to look forward to seeing it.
Mm-hmm.
So that'd be number 2. Number 3, well, I guess another form of this would be emails. When I first started at Heritage Bay, I actually got the email list, from a salesperson for the builder,
right.
and I started doing monthly market updates through email because that was free, and I didn't have money to do a monthly mailer.
Yeah.
And there's ways to get email lists for whatever community you want. You'll figure it out, whether it's an HOA community, you could find someone from the HOA, or if it's, not, there's ways you just Google it. You can buy lists and stuff like that. But that's another, free way to get exposure out there. You'll get a lot of pissed off people. Well, not a lot, but some. And some people unsubscribe in the beginning, but a lot of people like it. And again, if you put out good content, then they'll look forward to it.
I think that's the point that we need to drive home to people, is that you're putting out good content or you're adding value. You're not just trying to sell them something.
Correct. Exactly. You're just, my mailers are pretty straightforward. I put a list of pending and closed sales for that month. I add in things like the floor plan that don't just populate as a column on Matrix. That's something you have to know the different square footages of the floor plans, but I add that on there so someone can look at it and say, oh, that's like mine, but it's on the first floor, so maybe mine's worth a little more. And then, I put a little note about whatever my views are or how I see things going on. Like the last one I did, I think we talked about a little bit how the year started off slower than normal, but then things were picking up, so it's kind of okay. But yeah, it's not a sales pitch. Your contact info is on there. I think I have something like, if you're curious to what your place is worth, give me a call, but that's it. It's like you said, it's just a value added, good content type of angle, and you do that over time, and you kind of just get this. It I guess gives like the illusion or perception that you're an expert, and that was kind of the goal I was going for, and I think it worked.
Yeah. So outside of real estate, you're huge into football, right?
Yeah.
So tell us what you enjoy. Obviously, you said now prioritizing work over play and extracurricular activities, whatever you want to say. But what do you enjoy? What do you like to do?
Yeah, I obviously love to travel and football games, and a lot of the time that goes hand in hand. But I think I've been to McDonald's in like 13 different countries, so trying to add to that. And I also it's just,
which country had the best McDonald's?
Greece. The Greek McDonald's. They have a thing called a McGreek where it's it's like a Big Mac, but instead of the buns, it's in like a pita wrap.
Really?
The McGreek, yeah, very, very good. Highly recommend that. They've got one at the Athens airport. So
okay, that's awesome.
Yeah, and then also, as like a football parallel to all those McDonald's, I want to go to an NFL game in every stadium. I think I've done like 10 or 11. I have to look at the list, but
nice.
It's always cool just to see the different, the different stadiums, traditions, camaraderie, whatever. I obviously I'm a bigger college football and UCF fan, but NFL games are just cool. They're it's just different, you know.
Yeah.
And so I guess those are two of my hobbies.
Love it. All right, so something that people wouldn't know or assume is you actually have you have a couple different Instagram pages, right? But in personal, but you have one specifically. People might not actually know that you run. Tell us about that one.
Yeah, so
the details on it.
The handle's at Naples_FL, and it's just like, it's pretty much just a crowdsourced page of photos. So people, if you take a nice picture, or actually half of them are like people doing their hair advertisements or whatever, but anyone that tags it shows up, and I'll just repost the good ones. Usually it's like beach and sunset pics. I started that, and I think like 2014, again, when I was like not selling that much. It was just like a side thing. I didn't think it would blow up, but I noticed there wasn't a Naples Instagram page at all when I saw ones for like Tampa, and it was just pictures of Tampa and Miami and stuff. So I was like, oh, I'll make one for Naples. This Instagram thing seems like it's kind of going to be popular. And, I just did that, and it just kind of snowballed. And actually I've slacked. It's funny because if you look at the post, you can tell when I started really getting busy with real estate, there's like an inverse correlation. I kind of stopped posting a lot around 2020. And that's when I like quadrupled my sales in real estate. Yeah. Even though it only takes a couple minutes, it's like, stuff like that's
falls to the waistline. Yeah.
It's not the first thing I think of when I wake up anymore. But it's a cool page. I've only used it to advertise a listing once, because I didn't really want to break away from like the theme of like nice sunsets or whatever. And but I was able to use that at least to draw a bunch of eyes to the listing. Didn't sell it or anything, but I definitely plan on doing more in the future. It just, again, stuff like that kind of just takes the back burner.
He's being what's the word? Non-braggy. It has like 72,000 followers, which is very, very impressive,
It's not bad,
from an organic standpoint, right? Like, there's always by the followers, different things like that, but to like have people like organically following, that's a lot of reach. It's huge.
It's pretty cool.
So
it's pretty cool.
Super cool. Well, Sean, absolute pleasure, man. We actually are out of time here, but I appreciate you coming on here, sharing more about your farming abilities, and what really it takes to farm a community. And one of the things I think that you stated that's so critical for people is that it's a mindset thing, right? You reprioritize what's important, and by that, look how successful you are, and look how much more fun you can have. And I mean, like, that's just awesome, because there is so many amazing people out there that don't have the priorities straight. And at that point, as long as that switches, the sky's the limit, right? The ceiling is so high.
It's seriously true. And, just talking about it, put it in even more perspective. It's like, you find success in whatever you're doing, whether it's, real estate or in anything. Just be the best at it, and the rest of everything else it will just figure itself out.
For sure.
No matter what field or industry or anything you're in. I think it's a good takeaway.
Love it. All right, John, thanks you so much for coming on the podcast.
Anytime, bro. Thanks for having me.
As always, RP Experience, extremely thrilled to have you on here. We're here at Venture X in the podcast studio. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for the next episode. I'll see you guys.